Welcome to Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. I'm your host, Chamber CEO Rachel Beld, and it's my privilege to interview the movers, shakers, and change makers impacting our Vista community and beyond. I am thrilled today to welcome our guest, Joey Hill from Norway Hall Foundation. Okay, so Norway Hall Foundation is a nonprofit fraternal organization whose mission is to promote Norwegian and Scandinavian history and culture in the local community and to preserve Norway Hall and its property, which was built in the 50s. More on that in a few minutes. So in order to fundraise and promote the Scandinavian culture, the foundation hosts the annual Vista Viking Festival, which is now in its 20th year. We're going to talk all about that today. I'm really excited. And the foundation also participates in community outreach, which is centered around raising awareness and money for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society's Walk MS. They also participate in the Vista Christmas Parade and the Carlsbad Walk MS and a ton of other things, which is really exciting. But Joey, he's all in on the Norway Hall Foundation. He joined the Sons of Norway Nord Lodge in 2012. He immediately became the secretary, and he's been serving as treasurer since 2020. In 2016, he became the property director and has been the foundation treasurer since 2020. And for the Viking Festival, he has served in a number of roles, but is now the festival's financial director. So he's all in on this. And he's a 10-year veteran of the Marine Corps, and he's an executive currently for a company focused on biosecurity, public safety, defense, homeland security. I think you know some secrets. And he and his wife, Claudia, live in North County with their 3 rescue dogs, and they also have a college-age daughter. So Joey, welcome to Velocity. So glad to have you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for having me. Moving and shaking. I can move and I can shake. I don't know if I'm changing anything, but moving and shaking I can do.
Well, I have to tell you, I was changed and really impacted by my recent visit to Norway Hall and to the property there. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I definitely think that your organization is our change maker. So I can't wait to talk more about that. So first up, though, let's talk about the Viking Festival. Coming up.
Yep.
Vista Viking Festival.
Yeah, the 17th and 18th of September. So,
okay.
What is it, about 30 days away? So.
Okay. And tell me, how do people get tickets?
So the easiest way is to go to the website.
Okay.
So it's vistavikingfestival.com. And as
Okay.
soon as you log on, we've had some issues with our Norway Hall website is down right now.
Okay.
We're in the middle of having a webmaster or a changeover in webmasters. So when you go there and you look at the website and you're like, oh, a Marine with crayons did that. More or less. But we're getting there to get the website. It is a real website, and the tickets, as soon as you get on there, there's a link that take you right over to get your tickets.
Okay. So if you were just to Google Vista Viking Festival, yeah, and the ticket link will come up. It's yep. legit. That's the place to get tickets. And you do have to have a ticket to go to the event.
That's correct, but you can buy tickets the day of.
Okay.
So parking this year is going to be a little bit different. Traditionally, we used Vista High School, but
okay.
this year, everything's moving over to Guhome Park.
Oh, okay.
And also the Antique Steam Museum.
Okay.
So there'll be signs over there that people can use their smartphones to scan the URL. It'll take them right to the ticket link.
Okay.
We'll also have them in the line once they get over to the festival, and then we'll have a ticket booth there as well for people using cash or couldn't use the URL. So the best way is to get them online now ahead of time, so
right.
it'll expedite you getting into the festival.
Okay.
But there'll also be day of sales as well.
Okay. And so if you park at Guhome or at Antique Gas and Steam Engine Museum, do you have a shuttle? Are you walking over?
Nope. There's a shuttle
okay.
that'll be there to pick everyone up and bring them over to the festival. And that's an important point. Don't come to 2006 East Vista Way.
Okay.
Because we don't.
There's no parking.
No, our parking lot is our festival.
Okay.
So there's some limited handicaps parking in there.
Okay.
But all the rest of the parking is over at Guhome Park and the Antique Steam and Gas Museum.
Okay. Got it. So for someone who has never been to the Vista Viking Festival, what are they going to experience? Like, give us a taste of what this is all about.
I think my first takeaway being there is like, you pack a lot of stuff into a 1 acre, 1.5 acre lot. I mean, mm-hmm. It's our property is not that big, but we managed to use the space and get a lot of things in there for a lot of different people. You've got some people that are just interested in really the Viking Age kind of stuff. You have other ones like there maybe are members of Sons of Norway, the House of Norway, the Daughters of Norway, and are really into Norwegian type of crafts around the 18th, 19th century.
Oh, wow.
So there's stuff for them as well. And you've got other people that, that are not necessarily Norwegian, but they're maybe Swedish or Danish, or Icelandic. And so there's things for all the different Scandinavians, there, culturally and whatnot. And then we like to support a lot of the local businesses. So our brewery and our beer garden and everything is all local. So a lot of Vista and Oceanside businesses and stuff as well there. We've got local entertainment from the Blindfold Monks.
Fun.
They're local. The Silk Button Butchers are another local band. So there's some local things and supporting the local community and stuff as well. And then we're bringing over a band from Denmark.
Whoa.
Krakow, and they play traditional medieval type of instruments. So you'll get a mix of some Celtic or some kind of modern music. Highland Way, who plays the Highland games.
Okay.
And they're another local band, been a great supporter of the festival ever since the beginning. They'll be there as well. So you've got some local musicians. We're bringing some over from Scandinavia itself. You'll get Viking era type of things. And also Scandinavian culture and Norwegian culture activities and merchandise and things as well. So.
Cool. Okay, so I like to eat. Tell me about some of the food options. What's going to be available to eat there?
Okay, so our two clubs that kind of fall underneath the foundation. One of them is a fish club; it's a social club, and then the other one is the Sons of Norway Norda Lodge, Lodge 60. So Norda Lodge is So Odin's wife's name's Frigg.
Okay.
And so they're doing friggin' good flatbreads.
Love it.
So there'll be some flatbreads there at the Sons of Norway booth. The Fish Club booth does berserker dogs.
Berserker dogs.
Yeah. So
okay. What's a berserker dog?
So it's a hot dog on a bun. But,
okay.
I guess bigger than a hot dog, but it's a bun type hot dogs at our berserker dogs.
Okay.
We also have Nordic ices there that provide something because it's usually hot that weekend,
Mm-hmm.
so it's nice having some refreshing things as well there. We all have meat pies there. There's
a meat pie.
Yep. There's a grilled cheese vendor.
Okay.
That'll be there. And I'm sure I miss. We're going to have salmon there for the first time. And I think our salmon guys, the one that also does the Sunset Market down in Oceanside.
Yeah.
So we'll have some salmon vendor there as well. We'll have lefse, which is it's like I guess the best way to describe it for people here in Southern California. It's a Scandinavian tortilla is kind of what it is. So we'll have some lefse there. The Daughters of Norway will be doing some Norwegian and Scandinavian desserts and cookies.
Okay, now you're
baked
talking.
Yeah,
all right.
So that'll be inside the main hall. When you get over there, you'll see the vendor village and all the stuff set up. But then our main building is inside there. There's crafts, Viking crafts, Scandinavian crafts, Norwegian crafts, and the Daughters will be in there selling baked goods and sweets and stuff as well. So
I'm all in for baked goods. I love a baked good. So I have kids. My son is 8 and my daughter is 12. What are they going to want to do at the festival?
They'll probably want to go by the forge.
Okay.
And see the blacksmiths and maybe get an opportunity to go in and make a nail. So you get an opportunity to do that. We also have a weapons range over there. So I'm sure they'll want to throw axes, shoot a bow and arrow, throw spears.
Oh, whoa.
And then we also have a kid zone as well set up. And depending on the age, they'll be able to do make a sword and a shield and paint it and decorate it, and there's some other kids activities that are involved in our kids zone.
Okay, I foresee a lot of battling at my home after we visit the Viking Festival, so I could definitely see that being a great time for them. So, tell me a little bit. We kind of jumped into the festival, but one of the things that really makes it special is the property that it's on, and so. I know the property was established in the 50s, really before Vista was even a city. So tell me a little bit about what is on the property, the foundation's property.
Yeah, so the property originally started out under the guise of Sons of Norway.
Okay.
So it's a fraternal organization out of Minnesota. And there was a migration period of Norwegians here to the United States, and they just didn't settle in Minnesota and Wisconsin. There's actually a Lutheran church up in Los Angeles that's still ran by Norwegians, and it's for Norwegian sailors. So if they're in port, they can go up there and they can stay. So there are a lot of Norwegians and stuff here in California. So it originally started out as Sons of Norway. So The people that started the lodge got together, bought the property, and built the building in the 1950s. And then there was kind of a period where fraternal organization memberships, not just for Sons of Norway, but a lot of them were going down, and a lot of organizations were having to sell off their assets. So Sons of Norway did not want that to ever have to happen to them. So what they did is they established a Norway Hall Foundation. And so the foundation's responsibility is to maintain and preserve and to protect the building and the property over there, regardless or separate of membership to the kind of our membership organizations, which are the two big ones are Sons of Norway that are members of the foundation, and then also Fish Club, which is a member of the foundation itself.
So it's a way to kind of diversify the revenue streams and to have different avenues for securing funding and opportunities like that. Okay.
Hi, it's Carrie from Solatube Home in Vista, California. If you're looking for ways to brighten and cool your home, we are your natural light and fresh air experts. We offer a selection of daylighting and ventilation products to help make your home beautiful and comfortable. And the best part of all is you won't be using any electricity to brighten up. We can bring beautiful, natural light into those dark spaces in your home, transforming them into beautifully lit spaces in less than 2 hours. No mess, no fuss, just amazing natural light to make your home look and feel great. If you're looking to cool off your home, we have a complete line of ventilation products to keep your home and garage cool. We want to make cooling and refreshing your home easier and more energy efficient than ever with our line of whole house fans, solar attic fans, and garage fans. Our certified installers carry the full line of Solatube daylighting and ventilation products on their vans at all times. Installation can usually be done in about 2 hours. No messy drywall, paint repair, structural changes, or re-roofing needed. It's pretty much the easiest home improvement project you'll ever take on. At Solatube Home, we offer no obligation appointments throughout Southern California. Visit our website at solatubehome.com or stop by our showroom conveniently located in Vista at 2210 Oak Ridge Drive, or give us a call, 619-375-1629. We look forward to brightening your day.
Elias, I got an idea. We're going to do a podcast. It's called Industry Insights.
That's what everybody's doing these days, like a podcast. But who are we going to target? What?
Well, this one is different because this one's going to target content creators.
Content creators? So that means film, television, animators, AI artists, everything, huh?
Yeah, all of them. We can inspire all of them. We'll bring some high caliber people in here. Not only will they learn how to get into the industry, but how to be successful.
But the thing is, sponsorship. We have to go after things, and how we're going to do that?
Yeah, the Film Hub. We're going to sponsor it. We'll do it right here at the Film Hub in downtown Vista. Yeah, we'll sponsor it too.
Great.
Yeah, we got the podcast studio right here. We got stages, whatever you want to use. We got it here. And right here in film-friendly Vista. Where else would you do it? And you know where they can listen to it?
Where?
Go YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Apple Podcast.
What about Metaverse?
Meta what?
What?
So, recently, a few months ago, the Chamber, we hosted a mixer there at the property, and I had never been there before that day, and I was blown away about just the beauty of the place, the building that's there, the axe throwing, and all of the different activities that take place. So that was really cool, and I learned at that time about all of the different youth opportunities that exist. So tell me a little bit about Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, clubs, groups, like who's coming there, who's using the property, how does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and thank you for that. There's a lot of volunteers that put a lot of I guess that's one thing I'd like to point out is all our foundation, the Sons of Norway Fish Club, are all volunteer. They're all separate organizations. Mm-hmm. They're their own nonprofits, and it's all ran by volunteers. And so a big shout out to all of our volunteers and members that help keep the property up and maintain it, to include our range safety officers, our blacksmiths, and just, our kitchen staff, and just everyone that maintains the property. So big shout out to them. Yeah. So, a lot of people have kids and are involved in other things. So Boy Scouts is some of our members are in Boy Scouts, and so that's one of the things that we do is Boy Scouts have different badges. I think they have a blacksmithing badge and some other ones that they're able to come over and actually. We don't charge them anything to rent the property. They just we open it when it's available and they come over and then they're able to do some of those activities. We host some of their campouts. I guess one of our president of our foundation, James Yerpseth, he's in Norway right now. Actually,
oh wow!
So he'll be back on the 8th. They travel back on the 18th. But he's heavily involved in the Boy Scouts, and they do a camp out somewhere out in East County, I believe. And he's like, yeah, the last thing you want to find out getting all the way out there is that a boy has an issue with being away and camping out. So one of the things the Boy Scouts do is they use that kind of as a test bed for their camping. So it's come here, camp here, and if somebody needs to go home, they don't have to drive an hour out to
Smart.
To pick somebody up. So that's one of the things that we do there is camp outs. Some of the Boy Scouts have their end of the their kind of end of the year party there, and I was over for once, and it was great. Some of the troop leaders dressed up in Viking garb, and they put on a whole show and stuff for the kids. So it was great with them, and it's really just reaching out to Norway Hall if somebody wants to use the property. After the chamber, you guys were over there. Cahoots reached out, and we hosted their Christmas party.
Oh, nice!
And so the Cahoots Christmas party was there, so that was great. And then we also host some athletic clubs, North County Rugby Football Club, the Gurkhas. That's their kind of home for their rugby socials. So they play over in San Marcos at Connors Park, and then afterwards they come over and we host them and the team that they play that day for their rugby social for them as well. And all the teams that come from all over California really compliment them and say it's one of the best rugby socials, and everyone looks forward to coming to it because you go to rugby social, wherever else do you get to throw axes and spears and have a great time on a little tucked away property that if you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there.
Yeah, it is really tucked away. I've lived in Vista almost 20 years, and just last year was the first time I'd been to the property. So it's great. So I want to ask you, though, about, all of the axe throwing and make a nail and the blacksmithing and all of that. There's a lot of novelty and it's cool about it. But why do you think it's significant for people to learn about these methodologies and this history and culture? Like, why is it important to you and to the organization to keep that going? Yeah,
well, I think almost everybody wants to preserve their cultural heritage. And so I think, this is a way for people of Scandinavian descent to preserve their cultural heritage. And so I think that's important, for them personally, but then who doesn't like to share their culture with other people? I mean, especially the best parts of it with, those that may be interested. And I think, as far as why Viking stuff is kind of hot right now. You had the Vikings TV show, now you have Vikings Valhalla. The Norseman movie just came out. And I think Vikings have always just intrigued people, just in general anyways. But a lot of that pulp culture stuff has definitely increased the popularity of it. And it's been awesome for us because we get to share that portion of our culture and our heritage with the community. So that's cool. Yeah. So I know that the cause of MS is important to you personally and to the organization. So tell us all a little bit about why that's the goal of your fundraising and why your group supports MS research. Yeah. So people of Scandinavian descent tend to get MS disproportionately to other populations. And we have many members of our Sons of Norway and our Fish Club and of the foundation that have MS and are struggling with it. And so this was, props to the generations that came before me. I kind of serve as an assistant team captain, but Judy Lucas and her son, James Nelson Lucas, are our captains for our team and have been doing a great job for it. And James actually struggles with MS, and so do many of our other members. So that's, and plus if you're a nonprofit, a charitable organization, you've got to be doing something charitable. And so that's our cause that we took up. And And so the Carlsbad Walk MS is something that we have a team that goes down. We dress in Viking garb or Norwegian or Scandinavian garb, and then we do the walk together as a group. This year, one of our members, Ray Rifle, he made took a wagon and made a Viking boat out of it. And so we had some kids dressed in garb, and then we took the whole little Viking boat wagon throughout the whole thing this year. But anyways, yes, I mean, I think, just due to the relationship of MS with people of Scandinavian descent and our type of charitable organization having members that are suffering with it, is the reason that it's very important to us, and why we do the walk. 2, we do these little things we call Viking raids.
Okay.
And they're in between the walk, the Carlsbad Walk. And in between there, we'll go to like a restaurant or a brewery or somewhere that'll have us. And then we'll do a Viking raid where people dress up in garb and come out. And we've took our blacksmith, packed it up, and took some forge items and let people forge at different places. We've set up mock ranges, little small ranges at different places, just depending. And we'll do little raids at local businesses. It helps get people out to support their business. Mm-hmm. And then it's also nice that we're raising money and stuff as well for MS. And then Viking Festival, of course, helps us do some of our charity work and stuff and donations that we give back to the National MS Society.
That's great. So when is the Carlsbad Walk typically? Do you know?
I think it's typically, Judy's going to kill me. It's I think March, April, May.
Okay. So spring.
Spring.
So if somebody wanted to support your club in your efforts there, they could visit the website as soon as that's up and could find out more information about supporting your team or making a donation.
Yeah, they could go right now. They could go over to the Walk MS site and look up our team.
Okay.
And then you can sign up to walk with us.
Great.
And you can sign up to walk, and you can also sign up to virtual walk or just support the team.
That's great. So I'm interested in how the connection was made between Scandinavian descent and the higher propensity for MS. Was it just started kind of anecdotally and then there was research done, or do you know anything about that? I'm just, I'm putting on the spot a little bit.
Yeah. I don't know if it remains anecdotal. I think it may have started there.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. The Scottish people will tell you the same thing in like the Highlands. And so, but you got, that was one of the areas where the Scandinavians came down through during the Viking Age and kind of settled and then mixed with the people and stuff that was there. So it could have been brought over with them, or it could just be maybe Northern Europeans. But I was reading something on the National MS's website the other day, and they said that there's not really so much as what initially thought was
genetic.
Yeah, genetic, and but to be honest with you, I'm not 100% read in on it, but I will say, as far as organizations and stuff that I've been part of and whatever. It is. I mean, you can definitely see it in our numbers.
The impact.
The impact within our organization. Yeah.
Well, that makes it really personal for you. And I think that's great that you're able to support your, brethren in your club, and then also just to use your own collective voices to make an impact in an area that's impacting your culture and your community. So good for you. Good job. So I know when we were talking a little bit before, I wanted to ask you about your own family history. You shared a little bit about your grandfather. So I just wanted to give you a chance to kind of shout him out and talk a little bit about your connection.
Yeah. So I'm probably about 15, 16 years younger than my brothers and sisters.
Okay.
And so they had kind of always talked about Grandma and Grandpa Iverson. And so I grew up in West Virginia, and Grandma and Grandpa Iverson lived in Ohio, and that might as well have been the moon for me growing up. And I heard about them. My brothers and sisters knew them. I really didn't until my grandma passed away when I was in middle school. And so then I went up with the family and that's the first time I met Grandpa Iverson. And so after that, we kind of just became pen pals because there wasn't social media and emails and stuff and whatnot back then. And I remember in shop class, I'd made something and I wanted him to have it. So I'd sent it to him and everything. And so we just kind of, developed a friendship because I really didn't know him And then he ended up, hey, Ohio's cold. My wife had just passed away. So he ended up moving down to Florida. And after that, my oldest sister kind of kept in touch and stuff with him. And, and that's where we got most of our information from of how he was doing and what was going on. Well, in the midst of all this, what I'd learned was Grandpa Iverson was a Norwegian war sailor during World War II.
Wow.
And so he was, selling boats back and forth that were carrying a lot of supplies and stuff to the UK and to Britain during the blockade and whatnot. And he had been on 3 boats that were sank by Nazi U-boats.
Wow.
And the last one was it was off Greenland, and they were in the water for about a week before a British spotter plane finally saw them in the water. And he had, at some point succumbed to hypothermia and woke up in a recovery hospital in New York, not knowing, what had happened to the crew, the rest of the crew that had been in the water. And then for whatever reason, he loved the ocean. He went he worked cruise lines.
Wow.
For the rest of his life. And that's what he did. That's how much he loved the ocean and loved boats. And so that's kind of, my connection to Norway is through
It's a pretty good one.
Yeah. And so I kind of, where I grew up, it was mostly Scot-Irish. So a lot of people were in, that was the primary culture. And then after I started learning about Grandpa Irish and everything, and there was kind of connection there. And it just so happened that I found the Sons of Norway. When we moved back to North County from down south, the Sons of Norway Lodge was kind of right there. And I was like, oh, this would be great to get involved in. And so that's connection, and that's how I kind of got started.
Yeah. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
At JNR Auto Body and Paint, you don't have to worry about a thing. From minor dents and dings to major collision repair, we offer a worry, hassle-free experience with superior customer service. Our auto claim advisors work directly with your insurance company, so you don't have to deal with the headaches. Our certified technicians work on all makes and models to get your repair done right the first time. We stand behind our work with a lifetime warranty. Locally and family owned, JNR Auto Body is here to serve the community. Call us today at 760-724-4923.
We want to invite you to listen to the Same Business Different Day podcast, where we sit down with business owners, entrepreneurs, and great minds to talk about their stories and how they got to be as successful as they are today. If you're a business owner, this is the show for you. You get the tips and tricks from people just like yourself. If you're an aspiring entrepreneur, this is the show for you. You get to hear from some of the best storytellers about their journeys. If you're an avid podcast listener, this is the show for you. We release every Tuesday morning on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Subscribe to Same Business Different Day. We make this show just for you.
Wow, that's so great. Okay, so is there anything that we've missed talking about? The foundation, the festival, anything you want people to know? We talked about parking. People always need to know where to park. Is there anything that we've missed kind of talking about, or that you really want to share about your work or anything?
Yeah, no, we talked about some of the entertainment and stuff that's going to be there. We've talked about, some of the local businesses or our beer garden. That's all.
Let's hear about the beer garden.
Yeah, so we've got our main bar is being sponsored by Wild Barrel and Barrel and Stave, which they're local. And then up in our main beer garden, we have Twisted Horn, which is here in Vista.
Yes, the mead.
Yeah, and they're bringing tons of mead and cider. The North County Brewers Guild is going to be there. Mediocrities, I think they're over in San Marcos. They're another one. So the beer garden is going to have plenty of mead, cider, and beer and for everybody as well. We talked about entertainment, Highland Way, Blindfold Monks. Talked about parking. Talked about some of the food, some of the activity. I don't know. I think we kind of hit all the.
I'm excited. I'm ready. No, it's a 2-day festival, so the tickets are each day. Are there different things offered day 1 versus day 2, or is it 2 days of kind of the same? Like, do you need tickets for both days? Can you get your fill in one day? What's the scoop?
Yeah, so the Sunday's a shorter day.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a little, I think it's about an hour and a half, 2 hours shorter than on Saturday. Saturday's our busiest day.
Okay.
We kind of consider, even though it's not set up like this, Sunday's kind of a family day.
Okay.
It's not something we did on our own. It just kind of happened. Happened where we noticed that a lot of people, want that buffer day in between, going hard at at Viking Fest because it is warm. We are installing some new sunshades this year. So down in the main area. Oh, one thing I did forget to talk about is our Viking village and our guilds and some of the combat demonstrations and stuff that take place. So yeah, I did forget something. So in our Northern Territory, when you walk in, you'll first go into the vendor village where all most of the vendors are, and then off to the right it's our Northern Territory. And when you get up in the Northern Territory, we've got several Viking guilds and reenactment groups that meet up there. We have Droffin is one of the groups. We have the Wolves of Odin. We have the Red Hand. Who else? The Vestra folk. They'll bring and set up their own little encampments, and they have their own little crafts and things and whatnot that you can do. So once you kind of get out of the vendor part, then you can get a little bit more immersed into some of the Viking Age culture that they set up there.
So you can just go back in time.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
And I mean, you've been to the property. It's kind of weird. It's almost like when you go down the hill and you get there, it's like, it's kind of like an oasis in the middle of the city. And then when you get down there and you see the little wooded part that we have in the Northern Territory and the way we kind of block everything off, you do feel like you step back in time a little bit and that you're not in the middle of Vista. So.
Right. It definitely does transport you to another time and place.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but no, the activities are more or less the same both days. It's just Sunday's less crowded.
Okay.
And a little bit more laid back than what's Saturday.
More of a family vibe.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know. Okay. So at the end of each episode, I always ask my guests the same few questions. So I'm going to hit you up with my rapid fire questions here. So the first thing is a book that you think everyone should read, book that you really enjoy.
Since we're talking about Viking Fest and everything and Viking related, I think I would recommend right now Valkerie, and it's Women of the Viking World. And it's by Johanna Katrin Friedrichsdotter.
Okay.
And I think that would be a nice book. She kind of focuses, you get a lot of the rating stuff and a lot of the material culture and things like that. And she really focuses on how women fit into Viking Age society. So I think that's a book that may, be of interest.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's great. So I have a baby cousin and her name is Valkerie.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Okay. So the next one is a song that you love, a song you always have to turn up. Maybe you tap your toe, maybe dance around. I don't know.
Ooh, that one, well, the book's tough. Yeah. The song's tough. I think I'll give a shout out to one of my wife's best friends in college. He has a band called The Independents.
Okay.
And they're out of South Carolina. They're kind of like a Misfits type band, a little Skol influence. And so The Independents, and I think I would choose Baby Doll by The Independents. I'll give Evil Presley and Willie B a shout out with The Independents.
Love it. I love a personal connection. Okay. Tell me something that inspires you.
Oof. Something that inspires me. I think I'm inspired by purpose. So I think, finding a purpose and, I think Ronald Reagan had a quote that said, a lot of people go through life wondering if they made a difference. Marines don't have that problem. But once, I was a Marine for 10 years and then you get out and they say once a Marine, always a Marine. Yeah, that's true. But it's refinding that purpose and stuff after you get out. So I think what really inspires me is people that have found their purpose and, whatever that purpose, is. And, so I think mine, it kind of changes, fluctuates. Sometimes I wonder if I have it, if I need to do something else. But I think, I'm really inspired by purpose, and especially people that have found their purpose. That really inspires me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, when you find your purpose and connect it with your passion, then it's really fulfilling.
Yeah,
right?
It is. Yeah.
So yeah, that's great. I love that answer. Okay. The last question is, tell me a Vista business that you think deserves a shout out.
Well, I've mentioned a lot with some of our vendors and stuff that's going to be there. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to mention, I've mentioned his name earlier, Ray Rifle and Ray Rifle Flooring.
Okay.
And so Ray, a lot of Ray can make just about anything out of wood. And
wow.
And so a lot of the stuff, the improvements that for those that have been over to Norway Hall before, and you're going to come there and you're going to see some of the improvements and stuff that's there. Some of the upkeep of just the grounds and everything is all because of Ray. Ray made our Viking photo op that you'll see, and the photo op that's there is to raise money for MS. So when you come, please stop by the Viking ship photo op. And we take that around to the Viking raids. We've had it over at the Highland Games and stuff. So you'll see that there. The wagon I mentioned, Ray made. And so there's a lot of things that Ray and his team, Jason and even Carl, who's there helping out a lot. So I'd like to give a shout out to Ray Rifle Flooring.
Rifle Flooring. Yeah. Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Thank you. Well, I want to thank you so much for being my guest today on Velocity. Really appreciate having you here, Joey, and learning all about Norway Hall and the foundation and the work that you're doing. And it's just so inspiring and purposeful. So thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
I want to thank my guest, Joey Hill, for joining me today on this episode of Velocity, the Vista Chamber podcast. Don't forget to check out the Vista Viking Festival this September 17th and 18th. And thank you all for listening. If you like what you heard, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and tell a friend. Help us move Vista forward with Velocity. The Vista Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit organization which serves as a catalyst to business growth. Visit us online at vistachamber.org.